Hey, it's Chris. Today we're checking out the new Beats Solo 4s. I want to give you my first impressions here. I'm really excited about these. Obviously, they look amazing in this new blue color. I don't know if you saw that video from a couple years ago where I compared every single pair of Beats headphones on the market, but I'm always on the lookout for really great headphones, and Beats has had me intrigued for years. Just comparing these a little bit to the Solo 3s, these are obviously $199, but whereas the Solo 3s gave you 40 hours of battery life, these actually give you 50. So significant improvement in the battery life, and that counts big time when it comes to travel and just convenience. You don't want to have to juice these up all the time. You want to be ready to go. So 10 extra hours, that's a pretty big deal. There's also a difference when it comes to the fast charging, so the fast fuel. On the Solo 3s, 5 minutes would give you 3 hours of listening. The 4s here actually give you a pretty significant boost because a 10-minute charge is actually going to net you 5 hours of playback. It's easy to be like, these look really similar, but you also have to think about the connection. The Solo 3s gave you Bluetooth 4.0. This is Bluetooth 5.3, so you're gonna have a more solid, stable connection. And you also get USB-C here, which is not just for charging, but also for audio. USB-C is good for high transfer speed, so this is a lot more versatile. One thing to note about these is that the audio technology has also had a pretty significant change. The Solo 3s had what you might call that signature Beats sound. It had that emphasis on the bass and more general sound clarity. Whereas the Solo 3s here have been re-engineered, and that means you've got these custom 40mm transducers that are gonna, number one, minimize electronic feedback and distortion, but also you can get that high resolution lossless audio via USB-C or 3.5mm audio jack, which means these provide richer, more detailed sound quality that you just aren't gonna get on the Solo 3. So these are significant upgrades. Now you still have this control button on the side, but you have spatial audio here. That means you're gonna get dynamic head tracking for a richer, more immersive experience. Now just a note of caution, that's only available if you have an Apple device, so keep that in mind. You know, one thing that's gonna sound amazing in these would be my productivity course. If you wanna know how to get more done in less time with less burnout, check it out, it's linked up down below. And you can also check out my brand new course on Freeform, my favorite app from Apple, if you wanna go way beyond the basics. Both of those are linked up in the description. All right, so with all that said, what are my first impressions of this? Let's just start with the sound quality. These actually surprised me with the way that they sounded. I would say they sounded cleaner. There's a more defined audio signature, but these really didn't sound like I expected them to. Now that's not a bad thing. They sound very good, and you shouldn't make the mistake of thinking, oh, on ear instead of over ear is gonna have a bad sound signature. It's not gonna sound good. It's not gonna be very satisfying, because that's not the case. I would say these definitely sound really good, but if you're looking for overpowering bass like the Beats of yesteryear, you're not gonna get that here. Not that your music can't really thump here, it's just that it's not what's overpowering. So that's what I mean by just cleaner and more defined. It's a little more even, I feel like. You can see the power indicator there. I'm loving the battery life, and hopefully you can see the 4 there. That denotes the model. But these have been ready for me. Anytime I needed to use them for editing a lot, use them for just relaxing and listening to music, and the battery life has been stellar, I would say. You know, I feel like I'm constantly charging my AirPods, and these, by comparison, seem like I'm barely ever charging them. Now, if you're somebody who's like super into all the fine details of music and you would call yourself an audiophile, although I kind of hate that term because, well, we're not gonna get into it. But if that's you, then these probably aren't geared towards you. These are kind of for people who want to spend a little bit extra, and we'll talk about what you get for that extra and whether that's worth it in a second, you know, on a nice premium music experience without it being technically the best audio experience that you can get. These don't sound as good as the Pros. I reviewed those recently and those sounded superb to me. I really liked those. And these aren't Beats' best, most upgraded sound, so you shouldn't expect that. You should have proper expectations heading into it. But that said, you should have the expectation that these are gonna sound really satisfying, really good. You're not gonna be disappointed by the sound. So I can wholeheartedly recommend these because I really enjoyed them. And it's not just the sound. Part of the enjoyment is just how light these are. They're really light. They feel like a feather. Like I forget that I'm even wearing them after a while, and it's such a contrast versus some heavier headphones like the AirPods Max, which I've really been used to. So you combine the lightness with the battery life and the overall sound, and you have a winning combination, especially with this durability here. I mean, I feel like these are gonna be very durable. You can fold these up, take them with you, come with a nice little travel pouch. And by the way, I'm gonna be traveling with these shortly. These are good enough, they're going with me on the plane as I head to New York here in the next week. But almost nothing that I've mentioned so far would even matter at all if these weren't comfortable to wear. Some headphones are not comfortable even though they sound good. These are comfortable and they sound good. And a lot of that just has to do with this very comfortable redesigned ear pad here. You want something that isn't going to give you ear fatigue when you're wearing it for hours at a time. And that is what you get here. I feel like that's almost the whole experience, is this luxury padding here. Even though, and maybe especially because these are on ear, if it was over the ear, it wouldn't matter as much, but because it's sitting on your ear for long periods of time, you have to have really comfortable ear cuffs. And these are really comfortable. And then there's the design. These are Beats. That's an iconic brand. This is an iconic look. And just due to the profile on these, when you're walking down the street, somebody's gonna be like, oh, those are Beats. I recognize that. And not only do I think that's a good thing, I mean, you want something with some brand cachet. I think that's also a big part of what you're paying for in the first place with these, is that brand cachet. Wearing these on your head is sort of like driving around in a luxury car. Comfortable, stylish, expensive, but premium and worth it. Now, are these perfect? Are they the best headphones that you could ever purchase ever? Again, these aren't the pros. That means one thing that they don't have is ANC, active noise cancellation. Now, depending on your use case, that's either fine, not a big deal, or it could be like a deal breaker for you. If you're working at home a lot and it's pretty quiet, you don't go out, you don't hit the coffee shop, or you don't need to drown out your coworkers at the office, or you're not out in the city and you really need to be able to hear your podcast, your music out there, then maybe it doesn't matter. You know, you do have something over your ear, which does block out some of the noise. You kind of have that passive, organic noise blocking, let's just call it that. But no noise cancellation, which is kind of unfortunate because I really do like noise cancellation, but you have to factor in the price. If you threw ANC in here, then you might as well be buying the pros, right? And so this is a headphone that's designed for specific people, for specific use cases. And a lot of people definitely fit the profile for who is going to want to buy this. Now, I can just predict you probably are gonna have some people who are gonna come in and call these overpriced for the features that you'll get. Okay, that's fine. These aren't for everybody. If price is the only thing that matters to you, you can pop onto Amazon and get some no-namers. Personally, that doesn't really appeal to me, but you can do whatever you wanna do. I think the audio snobs out there may come in and say, oh, the treble's a little bit too bright, or maybe the soundstage feels a little bit limited. And again, I think you just need to keep things in perspective. The average consumer is not gonna care. They're not gonna be like, oh, I have issues with how this sounds, right? But the audio snobs might be out there saying, well, these could be more capable. Well, yeah, but you could also pay another $500 or $1,000. In fact, the average person is going to view these as really top of the line headphones. So perspective really matters when you're seeing any negativity, I think, about these. Couple things, even though I personally am using these with iOS and you get those extra features there, which I like, part of the whole appeal here versus AirPods is that Android users can really make the most of these as well. Broadly speaking, these are a lot more compatible with a lot more devices when you throw in all the Android compatibility. So you can break out of that Apple-centric limitation that you get with AirPods. I mean, essentially that's what this is, Apple's appeal to a broader audience, a broader market. So should you buy these? I mean, I would say, yeah, if you're in the market, this color's amazing. I really like it. It's not just black again. It's not just red like you've kind of come to expect from Beats. They've really branched out a little bit. I really like this blue. I'll go ahead and link these up in the description for you so you can easily go check them out. Thanks for watching today, and I'll catch you in the next video. Later.